in life, you never know who and what and how is going to inspire you. But there's certain things and people you meet that change your mindset and outlook on the world. Sometimes it's parents where they're all the time, coaches, a friend, and sometimes people come in and you hear a talk or something. And in my life, the person who set a new trajectory for me when I was playing clay courts as a 14-year-old, we had a talk from someone who had worked with at the time Andre Agassi and Monica Seles and people that I really respected, and gave a talk that changed my perspective. And that was I don't want to age myself, but it was well over 30 years ago. And to be able to bring him back, and when I had a vision of what ICL could become, I was a bit like Peter Pan. I was thinking, who have influenced me? What teachers? How could you do it? And Dr. Loehr was really the first person that came to mind. And there's nobody who has been more prevalent on the scene of what makes a champion for life. So when you create a motto and we see it and you want to live by it, the person that I've met in my life who has actually been instrumental in building champions for life has been Dr. Loehr, because he helps people go from taking a passion and making it a purpose. That only gets you so far. But Dr. Loehr then shows you how to make a super purpose. And that's something of how you want to be remembered. And then the process and rituals on how you follow that to make it come to life. Your cheat sheet to success in some ways, but it's doing the work. And to have him be not only an ICL champion and partner, it gets me really, really excited. And what you guys are going to learn, I will tell you, everything is important in certain classes, but if you really listen and take note of what Dr. Loehr has created, he will give you tips to be more efficient, really, and understand yourselves to help you become champions in whatever you want to do. So I got to say, it's so cool, like to welcome him back and to join, who's created our character and service leadership journey, which is a huge part of ICL. So if Doc is here, I'm going to hand it over to him, because this is a person who has helped shape the life of almost every champion that I've met. And I look forward to writing a book someday. He's written 17 books and there have been bestsellers, and people use his techniques around the world. And I'm just excited because he's also just an incredible human being and a champion to me. Doc, we're just really happy to see you again. I think you can probably tell, having hundreds of students here, you've seen ICL grow from an idea, and we tried to follow your P's of taking a passion and making it a purpose, and here we are with hundreds of people on, and excited to turn it over to you, because every time you come and talk, everyone can glean so many nuggets. So you'll probably hopefully be able to see a lot of our students from all grades, familiar faces, and I turn it over to Doc, who embodies, again, being a champion for life, and he knows more about this than anyone else I know. So good to see you, Doc.
Thank you so much, Kirk. I'm always privileged. I feel very privileged to be part of this incredible journey that you and ICL is on. I love the impact that you're having through young people, and it's probably my biggest passion right now is to try to equip young people with the necessary information to have great lives. And I'm an old guy. I've been around a long time. I've seen a lot, and I hope that today I can give things that some of the ground may have been traveled before, but if it is, it's because I think it's so important. So thank you for having me. And I'm going to go ahead and make my screen the PowerPoint. and we'll get started. But thank you for tuning in, and I hope you really get something back, a big return on this investment. Let's start with this. You know, I don't care what your age or where you are in life, but we're all doing the same thing. We're all navigating, trying to find our destiny, trying to figure out, you know, what is this all about for us? And that journey will never end. And we are searchers. And it is truly a journey. It's not really so much the destination that we're after. It's trying to understand the path we are to take that will take us the closest to what we believe is the right ending spot for our life, for our talents, for all the things we're working so hard for. So one of the things that has really gotten to me, I wish I had gotten a little clearer picture of this earlier in my career. But, you know, you make so many decisions constantly that either help or hurt you, to get you to figure out where you're going to end up, and is this the right path or the wrong path? We are basically decision makers, and most of the decisions we make, we're not even aware of, but they may change in a dramatic way the trajectory of our lives. And I really want to put a lot of emphasis on this presentation on making wiser, better decisions. So it's really shocking for most people to learn that you make about 35,000 decisions a day. That's 35,000 every day. You make about 245,000 per week and about 12 million decisions a year. And if I were to, just like you're either choosing right now to tune in or to kind of work on another channel with your iPhone. And the fact that you've decided to show up for this, that was a decision. And then for the moment you wake up all the way till now, you've made countless numbers of decisions, most of which were not even deliberate or automatic. They just occurred, but they, in a real sense, have an impact, every decision you make. And so we're going to talk about slowing the process down and really trying to understand that that's probably our greatest competency as a human being, is our ability to make choices. It's what separates us from all other species in the animal kingdom. We have the ability to choose our destiny. And it will be because of the choices you make that actually enable that to happen. You know, you don't often think about it, but you won the lottery of life. You know, you won the lottery of life. And through no effort of your own, you just suddenly showed up. It's an amazing gift. Think of the cajillions of people that never made the cut, that never had a chance to live. And then once you have been given this amazing gift of life, normally when a gift is given, you have to figure out, you know, am I deserving of the gift? What can I do to actually be worthy of the gift? And because life is so challenging, we all need help. And even though you sometimes don't want to ask for help, particularly ask for help from adults, we all need great coaches to help us find our way, to make the right decisions, to have the very best life possible. That's really what we want to do. And all I can say is the competency of decision-making has not been given the kind of rightful place I believe that it should have been given. Parents don't even know how to teach it. It's never taught in very many schools, grade school, high school. It's not taught in colleges. Most corporate universities don't teach it. And it's because they don't know enough about it. It's a very complex process. It's very private. And I'm going to try to put a microscope on that process for you today, because one bad decision, to drink and to drive, to take some experimental drug, or to do something that in the back of your mind you kind of know wasn't right, but you made that quick decision without thinking about it, can change your life completely and sometimes irrevocably. There's no coming back from a lot of choices that were tragically made. So, when you get in your car and you decide you want to go somewhere and you're not sure how to get there, and you're hoping that the destination that you asked Siri to help you with has been logged into the system. And so you say, hey, Siri, take me to this place. And if it has been properly uploaded into your nav system, Siri can take you right there. And what Siri does is instructs you, coaches you. Turn left here, turn right in 900 feet. And if you make a mistake, Siri says recalculating. Doesn't beat you up, just says make a U-turn as soon as possible. And but Siri is your coach when you're in the car. But for Siri to work and for you to trust that Siri is going to take you where you want to go, you've got to upload the right information, and all of the data that's in that system has to be correct. If not, it's not going to take you there. So it's interesting. Just yesterday, or 2 days ago, I was to be in a certain place at a certain time. I'd not been there. And I uploaded and I said, take me to this place. And evidently, it really thought I said something else. So I could tell that I was going in the kind of the wrong direction at times. And then suddenly I realized there's no way I can get where I need to go. Siri is not really making good coaching directions for me. So I stopped, I shut down the nav system and reignited it and made sure it was correct. And it took me to the right destination, and I made it within about 2 minutes. But so we're not unlike that nav system. We're trying to figure out how to get to a certain place in life, the best life possible. So here is it took me an entire lifetime career to get to this understanding. And I'm a research guy, I'm a data guy. I love to look at what does the research community have to say, a legitimate research. And here is the conclusion. The most important coach you will ever have in your life, it's not Siri. Siri can help you. It's the voice no one hears but you. And it holds the future of your life in the advice it gives you. Just like Siri held my success or failure in the coaching advice it would give me, I had to know, wait a minute, this is not good advice. And this voice is the master decision maker in your life. And you know what that is? It's called your inner voice. Every one of us as human beings have this thing we call your own decision advisor that's occupying a part of your brain. We know roughly where it is located, the human insula, and there are several other areas of the brain that are very closely connected, but it comes out Yoda. It's not the Yoda of Star Wars, but it's close. We want it to be a repository of great wisdom and great advice. And some people have a very dysfunctional Yoda because the stuff that has been uploaded into it, like Siri, is faulty. It's not good. It's just, you can't find your way with what's been loaded in. Others have great information. They have a lot of really outstanding wisdom to draw from. And they have a very different kind of life. But ultimately, every decision you make is made in this space, either deliberately, consciously, or unconsciously. And what we want to do in this presentation is highlight Yoda. Make sure you understand how to upload the right material to Yoda so that you can, in fact, have the best life possible. And it's not easy to get it all loaded in, but once you understand how the brain works, it's definitely possible. So your voice, this inner voice that most people never even think about, and you may not even be aware that you have an inner voice until I really start raising your awareness. But that voice starts forming. By the time you're 5 years of age, it already has there's a pretty clear narrative inside you. There's a voice that's speaking to you. And it really becomes the accumulation of all the voices that you've heard. Most importantly, the big authority figures in your life up to that point, your mother, your father, grandparents, even siblings sometimes get involved in that voice. And it's actually the voice begins to get formed even in the womb, because the auditory cortex of the developing fetus actually can pick up these signals. And because oftentimes the parents or whoever is speaking to you, the way they speak to you is the way you speak to yourself. You want to be like them, so you adopt their voice. And that voice may be helpful. It may be very dysfunctional. And an untrained private voice, we're going to refer to as IV1. IV1. This is just what you got from all those who've been around you since you were a little infant. And sometimes you have really, really great people in your life that have helped you. And you still have a lot of kind of dysfunctional advice that comes out of this area of your brain. And because it's so close to your brain can't turn away from it. This is as close to what I would call command central of your brain, because it's you speaking to yourself, and it's a private conversation, and it is the brain speaking to itself. It's really important you understand that. And then there is this thing we call a trained and very brilliant personal coach. And most of us need work in this area. This is what I do with all the athletes, with everyone I've ever trained. And in some cases, it's almost magical in how it actually helps you to go into high stress situations and handle it with brilliance and to make the best decisions. So we're going to work on IV2. We're going to take IV1, look at where it is really not, very helpful, in fact, quite harmful in some cases. And we're going to upgrade it to IV2, and you're going to be responsible for the way you coach yourself. Remember, you are your own most important coach. And if you don't really recognize that, you've made a huge mistake that may cost you dearly. So the first step here is I want you to begin to become aware of the tone and the content of the voice that you have in your head. And you may not even be that aware that it's there, but I want you to tune into it. And I want you to answer the question, what kind of coach are you to yourself? What kind of advice is your Yoda giving you? And do you listen to it? I want you to really turn up the volume. Would you want this voice really to be the voice that is in someone you deeply cared about, that was going to run their life? How do you speak to yourself? Would you ever speak to anyone else the way you speak to yourself, particularly if you cared about them? And what is shocking is so often people go, I can't believe, where is this coming from? It was learned. And it was learned when you were developing as a young person over many years. And you are not responsible for that, but you are now, as you'll see. Once you become aware of it, now we can begin to be responsible for how we, march this this really important inner coach forward. So we also learned that one of the best ways of getting that inner coach, that inner voice aligned with who you really want to be, that actually has the right stuff loaded in, is by writing. Actually writing or printing, cursive writing or printing, and you coach yourself the way you would coach someone you deeply cared about that was in exactly the same situation that you were. And you're practicing getting your inner voice to be a brilliant advisor. And you listen to it. And all of a sudden, you're not fighting yourself, rather than saying, you know, when you listen to Siri, make a U-turn here, recalculating. You don't just necessarily just call yourself every crazy negative thing in the book, but you say, wait a minute, I don't have this yet. I need to be more tuned in. I need a lot of work here, and I'm going to get this right. And you go right back to this voice and tone and content that if it were projected onto a jumbotron in a stadium, you would be very proud of how you're coaching yourself through very difficult times. And that is really you. If you made what you're saying to yourself public, how proud would you be, and what would other people say? So you train your brain. You're reshaping how your brain is actually operating through the power of this inner voice. And one of the most powerful ways we learn to do that is with your hand. You're moving the hand by printing or writing actually has a direct connection to what is called the prefrontal cortex, or executive function. And it's like you're rewiring. If you do it over and over again, you actually start wiring up a different message, more control over your emotions, more precision in your thinking. And it starts to build confidence that, hey, wait a minute, I actually can run this show, my show, if I really put my heart and soul into this and getting better. And you're doing it with your hand, not just with your hand, but by awareness that you start making course corrections immediately. So it's really practiced self-coaching, practiced self-coaching. So here it is. Here are just some examples. I just threw some up here. One of them was for, I've been working with some basketball, the Chicago Bulls basketball team and professional basketball team. And so, and it is really quite amazing the power it can have. But, you know, let's say something's come up and you're trying to, maybe you're in an exam or you made a mistake, so you let it go. You can't go back. All you can do is correct it. So you say to yourself, rather than beating yourself up for turning in the wrong direction, Siri, you just go let it go. It's in the past, get it right. Or if you're in a competitive situation and you sense, hey, I need a little more intensity, you just say more intensity, come on. Or if you're too up, your Yoda can sense, wait a minute, settle down, calm yourself, maybe confidence, come believe in yourself. Look what you've done so far. You have so much more in you than you ever believed. Something as simple as never give up. I don't care how bad it gets. I'm going to keep learning. Just keep learning, Jim. Keep learning. Present focused. You're focusing too much on the outcome. Focus on what you can do that you can control. You can control your effort, your attitude. You can control your inner voice. And that's as much as once you're in the battle, that's as much as you can do. Maybe something like, come on, right here, right now. Maybe something on a team where you say, you know, selfless. It's not about me. It's about how I can make everybody on the team better. Maybe it's, come on, be more aggressive. Show some courage. Come on. This is you coaching you. And if you're a basketball player, take the shot. You're a shooter. Maybe that's the best advice. Reset now, immediately. Come on, bring it on now. Bring it now. So you begin to get a language that's constructive. It's really reflect. No one is going to be closer to you than you are to yourself. You understand what's going on at a level no one else even can come close. So when you coach you, it's like you're getting right to the core of who you are. This is what everyone wants to access. They all want to access this command central that you're able to access with your inner voice. You can block anyone you want from getting in, and a lot of times they should be blocked, but a lot of times they shouldn't. You should listen to them. A lot of times young people just block out authority figures, block out parents, even though they have those speaking to them have the best interests at heart. You know, you won't let them in. You just have this sense, I don't want to listen, even though you kind of know it's right. But it's really important that you understand you are a gatekeeper. You know who to let in and who not to let in, because once they're in, they can do a lot of good or they can do a lot of damage. And so that's why it's so important you pick your right friends and you make sure that your Yoda is always alert to what's happening and who's around you and what are the opportunities here to really make a better choice, a wiser decision. So here's some more that might come up, you know, when you're coaching yourself. Come on, do the right thing. Do the hard right rather than the easy wrong. You know, control what you can here and let the rest go. As I said, you can control your effort, your attitude, and your inner voice. That's it. That's in the middle of a competition. And then, you know, when you're making a decision that's a tough one, look at your values. Look at your best self. Hopefully these have been uploaded into your Yoda. Who do you really want to be in life? And then choose wisely through that lens, as opposed to just winging it. And you can handle this. Come on, Jim. Take a deep breath, move forward. You got this. That's how I want you coaching yourself. Not like, oh God, this is happening again to me. Here we go again. How many times am I going to screw up? I hate myself. I'm a loser. All that stuff. I spent years and years getting all that verbal stuff from world-class athletes, from Andre Agassi to just about every one of the players at the Nick Bollettieri Tennis Academy for 6 years. I got all their stuff loaded in on a microphone that they would talk to themselves, and then I would play it back and say, put it all in a condensed form and have them listen to how they were coaching themselves. This is the best advice you have to help you be the best player you can be. And they were just stunned. And it really is a shock when you realize you don't maybe have the best coach, maybe you have the worst coach between your ears. And be an inspiration to others by the way you handle tough times. Tough times are always coming, are always just around the corner. That's how you really learn to be strong, is by the fact that you handle difficulties in a really noble and, you know, responsible way. And every storm in life represents an opportunity to grow, as opposed to cussing the storm. Say, okay, this is a storm. I can learn here. I'm going to try to get my wisdom. I'm going to get Yoda out here and be the best coach that I possibly can through these difficult moments. And what's so interesting is that you're on the same team. It's not like you have an adversary. There are a lot of parents believe that if you don't, they're really what I call hard parents. They have the best interest, but they believe that if you're not tough on them and you don't really make them pay for bad mistakes and bad decisions, they'll just do them over and over again. So they have all kinds of punishments, all kinds of things and they want you to really feel badly. Well, I've worked with so many athletes over the years, and those who beat themselves up the most were the ones who most likely would lock up, which you call choke, in the moments that are really important. And it's because that's the way your brain is formed. Your brain logs in negatives far more easily than positives. And if you have a lot of negative, you beat yourself up. You want to face the truth and say, wait a minute. Okay, I didn't get that right. I'm going to get it right. I need to continue to grow. Give me another opportunity and I'll get it right. As opposed to not, going into a funk for hours, maybe days, beating yourself up, thinking that you have to do this to show how much you care, show others that you care, and to make sure it doesn't happen again. It actually has the exact opposite effect. So as I said, you had very little to do with the voice and tone of your inner voice up till now. But I'm going to tell you, I will hold you now accountable. Everyone I work with, from that point forward, they're going to clean up all the riffraff between their ears. They're going to start becoming an outstanding coach, and they're always going to be grading themselves. Hey, was that good coaching advice or not? Am I living up to what I believe is the best standard of coaching that I would want to give anyone I cared about in that situation? And would I be proud if it was projected on a screen so everyone could see it? So uploading Yoda with the right coordinates for making a decision is really critical, because it doesn't, you don't have those coordinates. No one has given you those. And I'm going to do that for you today, at least get you started so that you have an idea of how to equip. It's like if your nav system were not equipped with all that data that it could reference for making good decisions, it would be total chaos. Your brain works just like your nav system. And if you want to get where you want to go, you're going to have to, if you want to end up at the end of your life with the best life possible, we got to equip Yoda with the coordinates for making that happen. And it's all about decision making. So we need to look at, what are your deepest values? What do you really care about? What is the real purpose of your life? And why are you here? Where do you want to end up at the end of your life? And if you don't load those into Yoda, it has no idea how to reference decisions. It'll copy what other kids are doing, or what's the crowd say I should do. I don't want you following their voice. I want you following your voice, which is a reflection of what you want in your life, and you're going to hold yourself accountable for that. So I'm going to refer to you getting to where you want to go in life as getting home. Even if your home life has not been that great, getting home, all it means is that you end up at the end of your life where you want to end up. And it will be the decisions you make that either get you there or not. Just like that nav system, if I'd have followed it because it had wrong instructions, I never would have gotten to where I wanted to go. And for me in that moment, I couldn't get, if that were home, I wouldn't get home. So I will tell you, the highest priority for living a truly successful life is equipping your inner voice, and the inner voice is right in central command center. This is like where everything happens. It's right in the center of your brain. And to give that's command central with the coordinates for getting home in life, for getting home. One of the things that it's always kind of interesting, you have on your iPhones, you have an icon for, actually recording your own voice and then listening to it, called a memo function. And I've used this with lots and lots of people, athletes at every conceivable level, the highest levels in sport. So it really is, when you have this function, this memo function, it's you coaching you with your public voice, hoping to get through to your private voice and getting into command central. And when you hear your own voice coaching you, it's really quite something, and it's going right into that command central. So it's something, if you want to train your brain a little quicker, that's one of the ways you can do it. So here's the nav system that I believe is really the most important. So if you're gonna get in your car, first of all, we need to know where you're headed. That's purpose. And then you need to know who are you, where are you now? So if you're in a car and there are 4 orbiting satellites that can pick up your current location, then the nav system can work. But you need to have those 2 coordinates. Where am I headed? What's my destination? Where am I now? And then you have to have some energy, action. You have to either get in your car and travel to close the gap between where I am now and where I want to go. And if you don't take action, it doesn't matter. If you don't have a bicycle, you're going to have to expend energy either by walking, taking an airplane, whatever it is. You got to close the gap, and that requires action. And so we need to know how do you know where home is for you? And the coordinate, that the way I'm going to help you get there is something, it's called a tombstone exercise. So one of the things that I've learned in my career over and over again, that the best way to really learn something about what you should do now is to kind of look at where do I want to go, and then how do I make sure I get there. Start from where I want to end up and move backwards. So start with the end in mind. So I want you won't have a chance necessarily here now, but I would love for you as a homework assignment. I want you to go to the end of your life, the very end of your life. It's not fun to do, particularly as young as most of you are. You don't normally have the privilege of deciding what's going to be on your tombstone. That is made by others after you have passed. And a lot of times that tombstone does not reflect the truth. It's like they want people to feel good. Sometimes it is. People don't know what to put on there. You have the ability now to create your own tombstone and what you want on that tombstone to reflect what you believe would be the most successful life possible. How do you want to be remembered? How do you want your life to be portrayed in terms of the legacy you've left behind? What are the values that have no equal? And so you really contemplate, well, what do I really want to stand for? And I've done this with literally thousands of people, from special forces in the military. I worked with 17 number ones in the world in their sports, to all kinds of every conceivable. And this was the most powerful exercise we had. And so on there, you're going to carve, chisel in stone, maybe 6 words, 6 or 7 words, or maybe 2 short sentences that kind of summarize for you what really represents the most successful life humanly possible. And if you get down to it, I mean, you really need to really understand it. Let's say you want to be, what's so interesting is I work with all these gold medalists and NBA, NFL superstars, world champions and all this. Nobody puts any of that on the tombstone. It's like that, those are nice, but that's not what my destination ultimately is. It might be something as simple as a loving, caring mother or father or son or daughter, or an inspiration to others. I mean, it's got to come from the core of your soul. But the more you get into it, then we got to realize we really need to know exactly what that means for me today. What do I have to do? Those are all, nobody wants to be normal. Nobody wants to be a normal inspiration or a normal person of character or a normal honesty. You want to be extraordinary in something, loving, caring, integrity, honesty, whatever it is. And so you're going to have to work like crazy. You're going to have to make a lot of decisions to put your energy into that, or it won't happen. But now you know where you want to end up in life, and I'm going to call that getting home. Once you figure that out, now every decision, now you've uploaded Yoda with the right coordinates. Now you got to go back and figure out every decision you make has to be vetted properly in the context of getting home. And if you start to go off course or you've reached a detour, you got to figure out how to get back on course, or you won't end up getting home. And every day you have to work at this. None of this is a given. And so this is it. This is the exercise that helps you determine what the coordinates are for you to make the right decisions, vet them through that lens, and you almost always get the right outcome. So, this purpose is the most important part of your getting home. It's understanding why you were born. You won the lottery of life, as I said. Mark Twain once said, the two most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you found out why. I would add something to Mark Twain's, which is a beautiful statement, quote, but you don't ever find out exactly. You are re-examining it every single day, what home is for you until you die. It's never set in cement. That's why it is a journey. And you're always trying to get closer and closer to what you now believe you're changing. And the more you really make sure that you don't miss home, just because you just didn't really think about it. So it's an exercise that never ends, but I want you to get what home is for you now, at this time in your life. And this pyramid actually reflects what we've learned at the Institute. It's like we develop first physically, then emotionally and socially, then mentally and cognitively, and then ultimately we develop morally and ethically, our character. But what we learned is we become extraordinary as human beings by starting at the top, understanding what really the purpose is of our lives, and then creating stories, which I'll talk about in just a minute, and to really invest energy in the things that will help you fulfill that purpose, that mission that you've defined as getting home. And then you summon the emotions that will help you support that mission, optimism and hope, and anything that resiliency. And then you take care of yourself so that you have plenty of energy, because all energy comes from the physical body, in the cells of your physical body called mitochondria, and the ignition of glucose and oxygen. And if you don't have energy in the cells, in the 30 plus trillion cells in your body, the whole system starts to collapse. You start collapsing emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Your character starts to get increasingly more fragile, your honesty, integrity. That's why it's so important that you understand the importance of taking care of yourself in getting home. So you need to prepare, and I know you do this at ICL, prepare a personal life mission statement that reflects this getting home idea. We now call it a self-transcending purpose. What we learned is that your life was probably never about you. And the more you get it, the more it's clear to you that you give your life away. And when you give your life away, you get a life. When it's all about you, you lose your life. It isn't about you. You came into the world through no effort of your own, and your purpose here is to make the world better in any way you can for other people. And in doing so, you actually get a life. That's where happiness comes from. It doesn't come from what we have seen in our society, just chasing personal achievements for your own ends. Achievement is important, but more important than the chase is who you become as a consequence of the chase, most importantly in your treatment of other people, your honesty, your integrity, your ethics, your ability to love others, to care for others, to go outside your own preoccupation of yourself and try to do something that reflects a much bigger understanding of the world around you. So the purpose is the center of your life story, your why for being alive. And, all the stories you tell yourself, we are storytellers, and all the stories that you tell yourself and others should reflect your why. And the more you get it, and understand that purpose is the center of everything, your purpose, and it is the most important upload to your Yoda, then you are on the right track. And I'm hoping that this presentation has helped you understand the power of your inner voice and the understanding of how you need to get the coordinates right. You have to upload your Yoda, and to get that, you have to keep it alive. And I'm hoping that this presentation will facilitate that process. And it is a process. You will never, ever be completely finished. Thank you very much.
Doc, that is so exactly on point, because this process of, we hear of taking a passion, making it a purpose, your super purpose. This is going to be discussed throughout the year. You have people on here, as I told the story before you came on, I first heard you talk about a lot of these concepts when I was 14 years old, and it led, and it keeps reinventing itself. And so this is not a one-time talk. This is actually the formation of what ICL is all about. And I know it's a huge amount to take in, but guys, over the course of this year, you're going to hear so much about, like, you'll remember, okay, these snippets, and you'll hear, you're going to know your Yoda. It's funny. You're going to leave orientation, you start doing things, and you're going to be like, wait, that's my Yoda. Because even to find it, and to know, to recognize when it happens, because we all have that inner voice, and we all know that the power of manifesting and writing things down. You're all young, and it sounds like almost like crazy Star Wars stuff in some ways, but it actually is a superpower, and it is something that we're going to continue to work on. And Dr. Loehr is not somebody who jumps in to do a presentation. He is a little bit like a true Yoda. He is sort of the force and the energy around ICL. And when you're on the court, when you're getting ready for lines, when they say action, and when you're pursuing, to become a champion in life, these are things that will come in, and it's going to be a great work in progress and only positive. Dr. Loehr, I thank you. This is kind of a beginning. So obviously, as always, I put you on the spot and say, please come back soon, join us. Our classes, our performance psychology, our leadership class are all based around your books. We're going to be working together to create more electives and micro classes around your work. And it's truly exceptional. So as always, thank you so much for being here and being an inspiration for all of us.
It's always a pleasure and an honor to be part of your ICL Academy. And I want to congratulate all of you, Kurt, and all of your staff for this amazing work, all your teachers, the competency of your teachers and where they come from and everything. It's hair-raising. And I just hope that my presentation can move the needle in a positive direction, but you're doing something truly extraordinary, and it's really an honor to be part of it.